Hey guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. It's mykenyanpuff, and this is the second part of the porosity videos where I'll be just going through the do's and don'ts of the different hair porosities. So if you haven't checked out the first part, I link it down below. It will show you the definitions, the categories of porosity, and how to test your porosity at home. And once you know your hair porosity, then this video is just going to be really helpful to direct you in the techniques and the products you need to use to achieve healthy hair. So if you're interested in that, please keep on watching. So I'll start off with low porosity hair. Now, the first do for low porosity hair is do clarify your hair as often as possible. If you can clarify your hair on every wash, it's even better. This is because low porosity hair tends to just get built up a lot more because most of the products we are putting on our scalp or on our hair strands are not even being absorbed because low porosity hair struggles with absorption of moisture and product. So if you cleanse your hair and cleanse your scalp properly, you give your hair the chance to now absorb as much moisture as possible. The second point is to use indirect heat, especially when you're deep conditioning. So indirect heat in the sense that we're not talking about blow dryers and flat irons, we're talking about steamers and dryers. We want to use heat because what heat does is it will actually almost forcefully raise our hair cuticles and allow the product and the moisture to be absorbed. So if you don't have a steamer or a dryer, what you can do is put your deep conditioner in a bowl and let that sit in warm or hot water, and then you can deep condition. On the same note of using heat, if you want to moisturize your hair and you have low porosity hair, I'd advise that you spritz your hair with warm water first, because what warm water will do is it will raise your hair cuticles, so the product that you add to your hair will actually penetrate into your hair strands. Under the same note, I'd say hot oil treatments are your friend. Hot oil treatments at the same time have that heat, so they'll make the oils more penetrable and they'll just be absorbed and moisturize your hair. So use heat. Now, my third tip for people with low porosity hair is use products with humectants in them. Humectants are products that absorb moisture from the surrounding. So if you have products that have humectants in them, they will help you, in a sense, to absorb moisture more into your hair because we're struggling to absorb moisture. So look out for honey and glycerin in your hair products. You can also do more research on other humectants that are found in your hair products. I have another tip which is a don't, and it is don't overuse protein. Now, low porosity haired people tend to closely be confused with people who are protein sensitive. Sometimes they even go together. Low porosity haired people tend to be protein sensitive because, as I explained in my deep conditioning video, the use of protein treatments is to fill in gaps and holes and tears that come from mostly damage on your hair. But low porosity hair has flat cuticles. We don't have those tears and those holes. So sometimes what protein treatments will just do is end up making our hair dry and stiff. So I'm not saying you get rid of protein altogether, just don't use it too often because it might not really help in terms of moisture. It might make your hair even feel harder than it already is, you know. So keep your protein on the low. Just keep it every 4 to 6 weeks is fine, but also look out for proteins in your products. If you do use products with protein in them, make sure it's hydrolyzed protein, silk protein, and wheat protein, because those particles are usually small enough to penetrate the hair cuticles and be absorbed. Some products that have animal protein in them have particles that are too large, so they'll just sit on your hair and maybe make it hard, but they will not really give you what you need from the protein treatment. In relation to protein, you might notice that if you have low porosity hair, and this is not for everyone with low porosity hair, but there are many cases that your hair does not like coconut oil. So the simplest explanation people give is that coconut oil has protein in it, but really the thing is coconut oil has a high affinity for the protein in your hair. So once you apply coconut oil, it will feel like you've actually done a protein treatment. So if your hair does not like coconut oil, it's either you're protein sensitive or you have low porosity hair. So you can look for other oils as alternatives. No, you don't have to force your hair to like coconut oil. My other tip is don't coat your hair too much. Now there's a problem with your hair absorbing moisture in the first place. So instead of piling on products that are too thick and they're not going to penetrate your hair strands, make sure you use light, water-based moisturizing products. Even your oils and your butters, make sure that they're super light and they work really well in terms of allowing your hair to actually take in all that moisture. My next tip for low porosity haired people is to style your hair when damp, not when dry and neither when wet. When damp is always best, because if you style your hair when wet, your hair is already soaked in water. So it's like your hair already has water, it can't absorb any more water. I hope that makes sense. So when your hair is damp, like it has a little bit of water, then your hair will be able to absorb the product you put on it. So after wash day, allow your hair to air dry or t-shirt dry, towel dry for a while until it's about 70% dry, then proceed to styling and moisturizing your hair. Now to close with low porosity hair is there's this trend of final rinsing your hair with cold water to close your cuticles and just lock in all the moisture you have gotten from your wash day. This will not work if you have low porosity hair. Rinse out your deep conditioner with warm water. Final rinse with warm water. We want our cuticles to remain open so that when we put products, they'll actually be absorbed. Now, on to high porosity hair. When it comes to high porosity hair, remember your hair cuticles are raised, so you absorb moisture really quickly, but you lose it really fast. So my first tip is use apple cider vinegar and aloe vera on your hair. Now aloe vera juice or gel and apple cider vinegar, what they do is they restore the pH balance in your hair, and once your pH balance is restored, your cuticles are closed and sealed in, so any moisture you have absorbed is retained well. The second tip for people with high porosity hair is make sure you're always sealing in your hair with heavy oils and butters, because your hair is absorbing moisture but it's not retaining it, it's losing the moisture. So once you moisturize your hair, always seal in with a heavy oil or a heavy butter. So oils such as coconut oil, shea butter, castor oil will work really well to make sure that you've sealed in your hair, but they'll also serve as protective barriers for your hair. They'll protect your hair from damage. My third tip is deep conditioning is a must. I know it's a great thing for anyone with hair, but for anyone with high porosity hair, you cannot afford to skip deep conditioning. Make sure you're deep conditioning your hair on every wash. If you can even deep condition your hair weekly. Some people deep condition their hair twice a week. Deep condition your hair weekly, get that moisture back and get that protein in. on that same note, protein treatments are going to be a must for anyone with high porosity hair. High porosity hair, as I mentioned, has tears and holes and gaps, and you need to fill them in with protein to strengthen your hair again. So regular protein treatments, yes, even bi-weekly. It doesn't have to be a super strong protein treatment, but if you can do light protein treatments every 2 weeks and then, do the really strong protein treatments once a month, they will really make a huge difference in the health of your hair. So finally, a practice such as final rinsing with cold water will work perfectly if you have high porosity hair, because it will make sure all the moisture, all the products you've been using is just sealed in and it won't be lost. So those are my tips for low porosity hair and high porosity hair. I'd actually really want to know your hair porosities. If you've done the tests and you've watched the videos, please let me know your hair porosity down below. And if you have any tips that I have left out in this video that probably you've learned about your hair porosity, please feel free to share. And I hope this video was helpful. Let me know, and if it was helpful, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, like, share and subscribe. So thank you so much for watching. Always remember that your hair is your crown. Embrace it, take care of it and love it. God bless you all. Goodbye.